Hi everyone, it's scrap diarying time. Oh, this is getting a little chunky, isn't it? And then I thought, yes, let's just put the camera on and have a bit of a chat before I see you all tonight and have a chat. Oh, look how pretty these are. Wow, this is so lovely. Some of them are like, yeah, they're fine, they're records, you know, and that's all it's about, scrap diary. It's not about making it lovely. It just looks really cool anyway, no matter how ugly your papers are. It looks cool when you put them like this. But look at this, my very first one, October 2020. I don't think there's anything in my art practice that I've done this long. That's how easy it is. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Okay, so I just think it's just fun doing a little bit of these. Like I know some of you like to art with others or have something on in the background, and something like this when I'm doing scrap diary, you're not missing anything if you're not watching. So you really can just have me on in the background. So normally I have like this cute little, and what I do is I put little pieces that I might use as in my scrap diary, but more often than not I normally just have a little pile on the side like this, because rather than fussing or putting anything in my way that would make me procrastinate, I'll just rip something off and just throw it there. But a little bowl or something nearby is a nice way of having it. I just have them in a certain area, so I always know where they are. So I've got this, that's on that one. So I know that we did this recently. But yeah, I was saying about tidying. I was tidying up, and oh, this as well, which I love. There were so many papers from art scraps, and I just can't remember what the last ones were. So I got this one and this one, which is sort of the same thing, but I love those colours so much. So I don't know whether I'll do both, but I feel like I'm going to be losing a lot unless I go through my drawers, or actually unless I go through my art scraps videos to remember what it is I did. Which I could do that. I could stop this quickly and just have a quick look, because that feels like a long time ago. You know what, I'm going to put a pause because I love my diary so much, and I would have hated to miss something that really cool that I did. I'm going to have a quick skim through the March art scraps ones and see what papers. Yeah, so I didn't put that. I'm so glad I checked, because it was the most gorgeous papers. It was the week we did, so these were last week, the previous week, and then before that was, oh, I just love this so much. That is so gorgeous. And I've added this as a download. So I don't want to tear that one up. And I also did like a sort of writing a bit like that. So 1, 2, 3, 8, 9. Oh, perfect. There we go. Just one page will do. 9 little squares. Fantastic. I wish I had a ruler that was exactly this width. That was so cool. This one here was the one with that mark making tool. That's not really a mark making tool. Really cool marks. I really like those. But that is lovely now. I mean, I was saying earlier that I didn't want to miss something great in my diary, which is true. I mean, like this really cool paper. I definitely don't want to miss that. But it's not perfect, my diary. There are times, I'm sure I've missed all sorts of things, so I don't worry about it. It's not that some sort of official record or something. It's just a fun thing, but it is a record of what I'm making. So if something was I made that was really cool, it would be nice to have it here. It would be nice to be in here. And so part of the imperfection is that sometimes I might put it on a previous or next month, you know, if it overlaps and I don't quite remember. So it's not perfect. It's not like I have to know that was exactly February, if that was like January 31st or something. Oh my gosh, that's the last thing I want to do, is make this really super enjoyable, easy practice complicated. But at the same time, I don't want to miss anything really cool. So yeah, it's I don't know whether it's something you can imagine, because it's something that you have to sort of be doing, as in hosting a major course, and B, the way your brain works, and C, the way your house works. Because if you only have, you know, a small table to art, then you're going to be very contained. And when I first started art journaling was just at the end of our dining table in a small apartment flat that we lived in at the time in Montenegro. I just had my first child and had no space, no supplies, no time, no brain space. My child just was not sleeping, which meant I was not sleeping. And by not sleeping, I don't mean the usual baby stuff. I mean, I know now that they had high cortisol, as I had a stressful pregnancy, and would just sleep moving. I literally back and forth, and I'm an insomniac anyway. So I was sleeping in the first days, in the first 6 months, I was sleeping 20-minute intervals. And I remember afterwards, many years afterwards, I was thinking, how was that even possible? How did I survive that? And I discovered that people in the military, it will make sense in a minute. People in the military are taught, I mean, maybe not everyone in the military, but in the Air Force and, I don't know, RAF. And that's somebody calling me on JBT on IG. It might be. Is that? I don't know who it is though. It could be a mistake, but I'm going to have to say no. I'm doing this video. I wonder if that was a mistake. Oh, it's Marissa. I missed a chat. You calling me on JBT, Marissa? There you are. I don't know what's going on there. Either you realise it's a mistake or that I can't chat. What was I going on about? Some bizarre thing about Air Force. But I think, not RAF, what's it called? Like the SAS, something like that. Anyway, they are taught to sleep in like power naps. I can't power nap. Like I'm not able to do it on demand. But I wish I could. It would solve so many of my problems with my cognition and stuff if I could just power nap and just catch up on sleep. But some people are taught to do it, and apparently I think we can survive. Well, obviously we can survive. I did. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying I had 20-minute intervals and then once in a while I got an hour's sleep. I mean, that is literally how I functioned for 6 months, 20 minutes. And that was kind of what my child was doing as well, although they were more in sleep as a baby. They were more just restless. So I was just waking every 20, 25 minutes, sort of like that. It was really insane. Like I could barely string words together. And then after about 6 months, it went to 45 minutes. And I told someone that and they were like, oh my God. I was like, no, this is great. This is like double. So I was having 45 minutes, and yeah, it took about 4 years to get into just my regular insomnia. Yeah, so it did take a toll on my brain, I have to say. So that lack of sleep and lack of space and lack of time and just everything was like not conducive to, you know, to my arting. And we had emigrated over to Montenegro, so it was just a different life. It wasn't an art time sort of life. But, and the marriage that I was in was not supportive of my arting. But here's the amazing thing, was that having a child, if you think in terms of chakras, it opened up my sacral chakra. If you think in terms of energy, like, or, you know, the creative act of giving birth, it just opened something up in me. And I hadn't arted in a very long time, being in this relationship, and suddenly it was not going to be possible for me not to do some arting. The creativity was insane. It just exploded. And regardless of not having any sleep, all of that, it was just there. So I started with crochet. Well, I actually started trying to learn knitting. Somebody suggested knitting. I had a mama blog at the time, and it was quite big, and I talked about attachment parenting and natural parenting sort of stuff, and it was great. I loved the blogging years. And someone suggested knitting, take up knitting, and I was like, okay, that sounds cool. Something you can do, while your baby is asleep on you, if that's the case. Tried that, and I thought, well, this is like the least calming thing I've ever tried in my life. And I just thought, no, just knitting is not for me. And then I remembered that when I was 15, I was not a knitting, crochet, crafty sort of person at 15. Absolutely not. I was a rebel and getting into trouble. But for some reason, there was somebody I knew, this girl that I knew, who was doing crochet. And I just thought it was kind of cool. Not maybe crochet itself, but I just thought, that looks kind of interesting. It looks kind of fun. I don't know why, because really I was not that sort of person. But she taught me. It was so easy. And, just keep going and make a scarf, basically. But I didn't really make anything, I don't think. But just doing it over and over and over again, it was so relaxing. And the fact that I needed to relax at 15 tells you a lot. But I remembered that and then thought, maybe crochet. And it's so much easier. It's just the one hook and blah, blah, blah. So I ordered stuff over, and it got sent over to Montenegro, and I started crocheting. And then because I'm a creative person, it wasn't enough just to crochet. Once I did a scarf and a hat, which we didn't really need where we were, I was like, right, okay, now what? I crocheted my child a cardigan, sort of things like that. And I thought, okay, now what? Because I'm always looking for the next thing, the interesting thing. And so I taught myself amigurumi, and made my child, made my baby a whole little series of amigurumi toys. Super cute. Still has, I think, 2 of them, or at least one for nostalgia's sake. But somehow, and I wish I could remember, but I don't know, I came across somewhere online, and this is 16 years ago, and so online was really much about blogging. It wasn't Instagram, it wasn't any of that. Somewhere, somehow, on the internet, I came across art journaling. One of the earliest people was Willowing, who does the faces. And faces just aren't my thing. I sort of gave it a try because that was what was being shown to me. And I thought, okay, this could be a good try. I've always wanted to do it, learn how to draw a bit of a face, whatever. And but then I found you could just do other things. And I was like, what is this? This makes no sense. So I think I've chatted about this before, about the whole thing of, I didn't know what art journaling was and all that. Okay, I feel like I'm missing one. What am I missing? Got the, oh yeah, one of these pieces. Where's that? There it is. There we go, 9. So anyway, there was that. But ultimately, it was about finding a way to do it. I had just a few acrylics sent over, and a few brushes, and I just had some very, ordinary cheap journal. And I just sort of started. I thought, oh, this is awful. I don't know what this is. It doesn't look anything like I'm looking at. Like, I didn't have any skills like in that way. My skills were all large canvas paintings, and I was trying to do this art journaling thing. And I was like, I just don't get it. It's not happening. But regardless of that, how the final product, I was loving it. I knew that I had found gold somewhere, and it was going to click. And I thought the click was that it would look good, and that's part of it, because of course we want a nice thing at the end. But it was the fact you could just open this book and make art, be creative, throw paint down, and it wasn't a canvas. I didn't have to go and try and sell this afterwards. I didn't have to hang it up on my wall. I didn't have to do anything with it, which I love those things anyway. I love making art, and somebody hangs it on the wall, or hang it on my own wall. But this idea that you can just be creative like this in a book and just put it away, and you're doing it because of the process, was amazing to me. But it was at the end of a dining room table, and I had to tidy it up, put it out and tidy it up. But I'm glad I started that way, because even though now I have an art space and I'm pretty much strewn all over the house, my most of my house is pretty much a creative space and has something in it that is creative. Steph, you'll know. Steph, who's been here, will know that pretty much I live in a studio. But starting that way at the end of a table, I know that it's possible. So even though it's like, yes, I do have a lot of space now and nobody can say to me, oh, you don't even understand, it's hard when you've got no space, and make that excuse. You can't get away with it, because I'll say, nope, I did it when I wasn't sleeping. I did it with a 1 month old, and I did it at the end of a table with maybe 5 supplies. And I did it, and yes, it's limited, and yes, it can be inconvenient, and yes, all that stuff, but I did it and I enjoyed it, and I got all the benefits of having a creative life again. And it really was a transformation of my life at the time, which of course having a child does, but this was an unexpected extra that which I just wasn't prepared for. I was just thought my life was going to be now being a mum mostly, and it mostly still was, and because I loved that, I wanted to give my child all my time. But bringing my creativity back saved me, and saved just my happiness. And my child saw me doing that, and now he illustrates. It's a wonderful illustrator, not professionally, but we'll put out his own book in the future, his own graphic novel, writes and illustrates. And I'm glad he saw me, grew up watching me be creative that way. And therefore, unlike me, and probably like a lot of us, we grew up in an environment where creativity was not even as grand as honoured or respected or anything like that. It was just normal. It was absolutely normal to be sitting there with paint and books and splashing stuff around. There was nothing unusual about it. It was just our days, our life. And I pretty much was doing that almost every day. In the very early days, I was doing it when he was napping. But then afterwards, it was like just sort of doing it while, there was a lull in the day. There was no feeding happening or whatever, or going anywhere. By the time he was sort of 2, at least 2.5, we were doing it at the table together. And there were days by then that I started to leave things at the table and in one corner, both of our stuff. And I've got photos of those days, which is lovely. So yeah, you don't need a lot of space. And with having more space, I can have all these new supplies, and I can spread out. I've got a dry table and a wet table, which sounds a bit grand, but they really are just small tables. But it's a wonderful luxury to have. But it also comes with more tidying, more cleaning. It's more space that can be messed, more stuff, and sometimes, oh my gosh, it piles up. When I do a course, from the very beginning, from the inception time, where I'm practicing things, practicing a technique, or practicing how a book is going to look and fold and work and all of that, things start piling up around the place. And I'll try and keep it tidy. I'm always tidying up after myself, but there's always things that pile up. And with Minimarks, I had all my papers that I made, and if you've taken the course, there is just a ton. There's just so many different techniques. So I had all my I keep saying origami stuff. I had my suminogashi stuff. I had my plain ink stuff. I had just so many things. I had a part of those papers, then I have like the ink, then I have my actual book that I'm making and the mock-up of the book, and then triple that by all that all over again, but doing it for Giovanna's book and doing it for Dee Dee's book. And Dee Dee's book was rusting, so my half my laundry is full of rusting stuff. So rusting is something I've been doing for years and years and years, but I hadn't gone back to it yet. So that just took up a whole new section of my house. There's a area in my kitchen, a huge big tray that's for pots, and that's actually all my natural dyeing stuff. So I was doing natural dyeing, so I had all those fabrics. So all these things, so everything has just been out for 7 months. So it's just taken up so much. So yeah, that's been my weekend, or at least yesterday, Friday and yesterday, was tidying all that up. And oh my gosh, it feels amazing. If you dislike tidying, what I do is I'll put some music on and I'll get my Spotify chill or my Spotify uplifting, and I've got Katrina and the Waves in the background while I'm tidying, and then I get it done. And I use an app called Structured, and that helps me get things done, and you can put a focus on it, so it tells you how much time you got. So I'll say 45 minutes of tidying, or it could be 15 minutes. I put 45 because I had a lot to do, and you put focus on, and then you see the countdown. So if you're thinking, oh, I've had enough, it keeps you motivated knowing there's only 10 minutes left or 5 minutes left. So that with music keeps me going. When it's done, as an exhale, I feel like I can breathe. My brain feels clear. Like my brain and my art space feel so connected. I feel like I'm ready for new projects. It's just an amazing difference it makes me. Maybe it doesn't do that for everybody, but for me, it's really, really powerful. Tidying my house being untidy makes me feel cluttered in my brain. Even though I might ignore it for a while and don't want to do it, whatever. But when it's done, I feel like my brain just feels clear. And my art space is like that, but tenfold. Partly because I'm always thinking creatively, and it's like a block starts to form if the art space isn't clear. And partly because it's my happy place and my chilling out place and my all of that. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. What great papers we made. Oh, now I'm uncertain. One thing I don't feel like I have was the layering. So do you remember, guys, that blue that I was trying to green up? Well, not green up, like make it into turquoise. And because I kept talking, I wasn't seeing what I was doing. So I just don't want these. I know I won't use them. But I think it will be fun to put one of these down just to remember. Actually, that's all right. What was I saying about? Just to remember, because this sort of emerald green, it's one of my least favourite colours. But just the fact that I was getting this wrong. But remember that this was part of my arting time. We had this week has just been a little bit strange when it comes to time. Like it felt like it's gone really, really slow. Even though I think partly because I was doing so much this past week. I was so busy with the final promotions and newsletters and sign-ups and all the admin stuff with Minimarks that it felt like I'd done a week's work, and it was only Monday or Tuesday or something like that. And I was like, what's going on? And strangely for Alex, my son Alex, he was experiencing the same for some reason. And we also went out on the Sunday, which we don't normally do. And then it's also half term, so there's no home ed sort of classes. I don't know, so maybe a few little things are different, and somehow it that messed up. Yeah, so it just felt like the week just wasn't coming round. Not that I was in a hurry to get anywhere in the week, like it made no difference to me, but it was just felt weird. It just felt like every day was not that day that it was. It would be Tuesday, and I would feel it was Thursday or Friday, and all that sort of shenanigans. So, and then on Saturday, not the Sunday, on Sunday. No, yesterday. Oh, you see, my days are they're really off. I don't know, really bizarre, really bizarre. So yesterday, Saturday, yes, Alex went to meet a friend and had his alarm on, but it didn't go off. And then I said, oh, you know what happened? Probably because of British summertime. It's changed the clock. So in my head, the clock's changed yesterday. And I just accepted that all my devices are updated in time. But there was something in the back of my brain. I was too busy to give it too much time, too much thinking time. But somewhere in my brain was thinking, wait, my oven hasn't changed, or has changed as I thought. Surely my oven isn't computerized. And then my car was the same. So, oh my gosh, my brain, but there I was. I was just doing too many other things, so I wasn't thinking about it. But somewhere, obviously, my brain was thinking, no, you're not right. You've been thinking something incorrectly here. And which bit? Something with the pink and the orange is so gorgeous. So that was, I think, the beginning of the confusion. Just my whole week being like that, and then thinking that the clocks changed yesterday when I know exactly they change on Sundays, but it must be what it was. Now I think about it, it must have been in my head that it was like it was Sunday. Oh, so crazy. And Alex went out last Sunday, so maybe the 2 days sort of melded together. It's like trying to do life while your brain is thinking through other million things. And oh my gosh, I know. I must sound so scattered to a lot of you. I never used to be like this, but I promise you I'll get things done. in a eclectic and erratic way, but they get done. Especially when I'm focused. Oh my goodness, when I'm focused, then just get out of my way. I also have this paper. That's amazing. I think I used it all up. I've got so many of these. Yeah, I'm just going to put that in. It's almost the right size. Oh, I'm going to put that one. So gorgeous. Gosh, I almost forgot all these papers. How bad is that? Too good to forget. So there was that confusion. And then I sent out a letter this morning about all the updates happening in Joyful Vibe Tribe. And Ruth was keen-eyed and asked about the time, because she's a regular and she knows that I'm normally on our live at 6 p.m. GMT. And I thought I was being really clever using UTC. So then I thought, rather than make it a zone thing, because we're all around the world, I was being inclusive to our global community and think it's not about my time zone, it's about the time. So UTC is just about time. But UTC and GMT, most of the time, half the year, go hand in hand. They're the same time. So I sent it in the newsletter 6 p.m. UTC. Ruth noticed that we are in British summertime, which means it's UTC +1. So I sent it out incorrectly, because I am going to be there at the usual time. So some of us have realized this, and we're going to be at the usual time, and some of you might follow my newsletter quite rightly, thinking that I know what I'm talking about, and be there at 7 o'clock my time. But I'll still be on there, so you shouldn't hopefully miss too much if you are later. It's been a crazy mix-up of time. So yeah, the long and short of it is, from the very beginning of the week, my brain hasn't been in the right time zone, in the right time zone. And I think finally I'm in sync with my time, with time itself. Einstein would be pleased that I'm in the right space-time dimension now. Barely. And thanks to Art Scraps, thanks to JVT members who are on it. Yay! So this isn't finished, and I don't think I've ever done this before, but I'm going to stick these in and leave those 2 spaces for April. And that's okay, that's fine. Because it's going to be today. Oh, you know what? I just said April. Oh, I just got excited. See, I don't mind it, but I love things being working out well. And I just realised we're still March, it's still the 31st, and we've got art scraps tonight, which means I'll be making papers. Yay. Happy brain. Happy. Which means it'll be at least 2. So maybe I should go easy on these ones that I'm sticking in here. And then see what we make tonight, and that will go in and that will finish off March. So yeah, definitely 2 pages with all the stuff happening in art scraps that I make. So happy with that. Yeah, just hoping you enjoyed arting with me, or doing your diary, or just hanging out and listen to me prattle on about time warps. Okay, see you next time.